I wish I was coming to you with a little bit better news, but of course we all know that our beloved presidential candidate Donald Trump was almost assassinated a few minutes ago. Um, I want to start off by saying I want to express my heartfelt sadness for those that died tonight, and may God be with them and their families, and may God be with Donald Trump and his family. You know, I titled this show "The Threat to Democracy" because that's what Democrats and liberals have been calling Donald Trump for years. That he's, in their words, an existential threat to democracy. Now, there are existential threats to democracy in the world today. President Xi of China, Kim Jong-un of North Korea, Vladimir Putin's just a crook that runs the oligarchy in Russia. But is he a threat to democracy? No. He doesn't have the military power. He doesn't have the ambition either. It's all just a shakedown there. But regardless, let's proceed with what happened tonight. For some of you, I've gotten questions and interesting, email messages and things like that, asking me about myself and what my background is. I was in the Army. I was in the infantry, if you can't tell, airborne infantry for a while, mechanized infantry, and I was a special weapons security guard for a couple of years as well. So I've done a lot of different things in the military, and I've had a lot of experience in politics. I was a member of the Central Committee, the Sedgwick County Republican Party, for a while. I thought about running for office and was asked to run for office at one time. But I found teaching was my calling, and I became a professor, and here I am. My military experience is about 11 years before I became permanently and totally disabled. I'm not going to talk to you about my health issues, but let's just say arthritis set in, and that's not uncommon for paratroopers and infantry. But what happened tonight is so sad. But I'm going to be honest with you. I expected this months ago. And it's just now that the Democrats are realizing that they're in trouble. They've tried everything. They've lost. That this kind of thing becomes an option, I guess. Not for the Democratic Party. I'm not going to say that officially. But the people whose hatred for Donald Trump have been ginned up for years by people in the Democratic Party, influential people in the Democratic Party, that have stoked this kind of virulent hatred. You see it today everywhere. You see it on our college campuses, and I talked about that in a previous broadcast. You see it everywhere. You see it, poor Caitlin Clark playing basketball. I love basketball, love it. I played it for as long as my body would let me. I played in an Italian city league in my off time, and I played in high school. I love basketball, and I hate seeing what Caitlin Clark's going through, but it's hatred. It's absolute hatred for her because of her race and because of her sexuality. No, there's no question about it. Any sane, logical person that looks at that realizes why she's getting beat up on. And she has handled it with grace and class. I'm just amazed. But so has our President Trump. President Trump has fired back. He's fought hard. But my God, they tried to impeach him twice. They did impeach him twice. They've thrown 4 different lawsuits at him with over 100 different charges. Then they're all baloney. They're all made up, convoluted, won't stand up in court. Nothing they've thrown at him will stand up in court. Nothing. But he has to go through it. He had to sit in a courtroom for weeks and listen to this garbage. And now he's probably in Bethesda Medical Center or resting peacefully with that ear wound. And from what I understand, the ear wound happened because he turned his head suddenly, or else that bullet would have hit him right and smack in the head. And we'd be talking about an assassination, not an assassination attempt. So that brings me to talk to you about today. My military training is 30 years old. But my military training involved a lot of urban warfare. And it also, not military training, but I also had I remember a very candid conversation with a Secret Service agent back in the early 90s. I was the aide for the mayor of Fort Worth, and she was attending a conference, the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and their speaker back then, I'm sorry, this isn't a day for any kind of laughter. But when I think back about this, I have to laugh because Bill Clinton was the speaker there. And we talk about worst presidents in history. Well, that's your worst president in history. This guy's a sexual predator. But the Secret Service agent who I met at the back of the auditorium, it would have been several hours before President Clinton was scheduled to come address the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and it was in a big a gallery, big like amphitheater, and he was checking seats and seat cushions, and I said hello, and I introduced myself. I'm the aide to the mayor of Fort Worth, and I take it you're one of the Secret Service detail, and he said, yeah, we got a lot of work to do, pretty busy, meaning I don't have a lot of time to talk to you. But I asked him what he was doing, and he said, I'm the advanced party, and I'm checking seat cushions, the underneath parts of seats, every single seat in what had to be 1,000-seat auditorium. Every single seat and seat cushion was checked for a potential bomb or maybe a hidden weapon or something of that nature. They were all checked. Every seat. And we got to talking, and he said, that's, the advanced party, there's others that are checking every single angle that could be used to shoot President Clinton, outside and inside the amphitheater. I'll never forget it. And I thanked him for being a hero and for what he was doing for the country. And we exchanged business cards, I believe. And I just told him, you're a hero. And I walked out. He said, I'm sorry, we have to clear the auditorium now. Nobody can come back in here until the president's gone. Until the president comes and makes a speech and leaves. And I said, well, thank you so much for sharing all that. It's just wonderful. And when this happened tonight, I thought back to that conversation. And since then, I have read up a little bit on the advanced party and what the Secret Service does for a president. And I'm looking at this tonight, coupled with my military training, and it's rudimentary. I was in the infantry, so I carried an M16, I carried an M60, the old, my son calls them a flintlock, but back in the 80s and early 90s. And my military training kind of touched on how to shoot from a building in a concealed manner. And, that was just rudimentary training. And so I know that the Secret Service knows every possible trick in the book at getting a shot off at a presidential candidate or a president. They should have analyzed every single angle that could possibly be used to get a clean shot at the president, at President Trump. And from what I'm seeing, this is odd. It's odd, to say the least, that not just one clean shot was gotten off at the president from, it appears, a building nearby. We don't know all the details, but several. Before Secret Service counter sniper fire took out the threat, is what I'm understanding. And again, we don't know yet. We don't know everything yet. But what I'm certain of is that this should not have happened. Nobody should have been able to get a shot off at Donald Trump like that. Much less several shots. So all I'm saying tonight is withhold judgment on this until all the facts come out. And I would recommend President Trump get a brand new Secret Service detail and a brand new Secret Service advance party. And everybody else needs to be thoroughly grilled about what happened tonight. Because somebody should lose their job over this. Or several of them should lose their jobs over this. This should have never, ever happened. And nobody is above scrutiny. Yes, the Secret Service is trained to give their lives to protect the president. Soldiers are trained to give their lives to protect the country. That doesn't absolve us or them of personal responsibility for making a huge mistake or series of mistakes. So this needs to be thoroughly investigated. And I'm worried for President Trump. Because it was not until the Democrats realized, and again, I'm not saying the Democratic Party sanctioned a hit on the president. But it wasn't until all the opposition, let's say that, President Trump's opposition, realized that we've tried everything and failed, and our candidate, Joe Biden, is failing. We have no other option but what? The unthinkable. That's my opinion. So let's really look at this. We as the American people need to hold the government accountable, and President Trump's safety needs to not be taken for granted anymore. And he needs a new Secret Service team. I'm sorry in my heart for the Trump family. I'm heartbroken for the Trump family. But I'm also heartbroken for the American people, because the American people deserve better than the left, the ideological left in this country, which has just gone off the rails. And it's their hatred, their anger, their vitriol, their berserk insanity over Donald Trump that makes things like this possible and thinkable to people that are out there with the means, the training, the expertise, the connections, possibly, to do something despicable like this. President Trump, if you ever get to see this, you're my hero. And if I were still in the military, I would be blessed to have you as Commander-in-Chief. Good night, and let's all say a prayer for the Trump family and our country. Goodbye.